everyone. So I know my channel is mostly about service dog related things, and a lot of people wonder why I have a service dog. One of those reasons is because I have POTS. So in today's video I am going to be kind of sharing and talking about POTS, what it is, what it stands for, how it affects the body. That way you can kind of have a basic understanding about what is POTS. I want to add a disclaimer in here that I am not a doctor by any means. All of the information that I'm sharing with you today is based off of personal experience as well as research that I have done on the topic of POTS. I want you to understand that there are a lot of people who have POTS, and two people are going to have very different symptoms. Not one person has all of the same symptoms with POTS. Everyone has different triggers, everyone has different treatments that work for them, everyone has different symptoms. So just because I have a treatment that works for me or I have specific symptoms does not mean that someone else with POTS is going to be the exact same way. So POTS stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. POTS. POTS is a disorder of the autonomic nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system is in charge of vital functions such as heartbeat, breathing, digestion, and that sort of thing. So when a person without POTS stands up, it is normal that their heart rate should increase about 10 to 15 beats per minute. When somebody with POTS stands up, their heart rate increases at least 30 beats per minute. And this can be accompanied with other symptoms such as blacking out, fast heart rate, heavy breathing, fainting, that sort of thing. So syncope is pretty much the medical term for fainting. So a lot of people with POTS will get pre-syncope symptoms, so symptoms before fainting. Some people won't get these warning symptoms and they will faint and hit their head on the ground, and it's not good. Some people will get these warning symptoms and never actually end up fully passing out. So everyone with POTS is different. There's a big spectrum of POTS. So why does this happen to people with POTS? Well, I have this bottle here, and I saw somebody do this on their TikTok. Her name is Arena, and here's her Instagram. She has a YouTube channel as well. She does great with explaining things about chronic illness, POTS, dysautonomia awareness, and all of that sort of thing, so definitely go check her out after this. But she gave me a good idea, so I'm going to show you all this example so you can visualize what goes inside the body of somebody who has POTS. So the bottle here represents the body, and the liquid inside the bottle represents the blood in the body. So when someone is laying down, you can see that the blood in the body is evenly distributed throughout the entire body. When they stand up, gravity does its thing and pulls the blood down to the lower part of the body. So the upper part of the body does not have as much blood flow. This is what causes symptoms such as blacking out, fainting, all of those syncope symptoms that we talked about before. In a normal person, I'm going to take this lid off so that I can show you what happens, and I'm going to do this very carefully so I don't spill this all over my white comforter. But when a normal person stands up, their blood veins contract. They squeeze together to push that blood back to the upper part of the body. So like this. When they squeeze together, you can see that blood goes back to the upper part of the body, and this makes it so that the heart does not have to work as hard to get that blood flowing. So somebody without POTS, their blood veins do not contract like that. So the heart just has to continue to work really hard to get that blood flowing throughout the body, and it's doing nothing because the blood veins are not contracting, the blood is not flowing throughout the body, and yeah, it's not good, and it just causes a whole roller coaster of symptoms that just get worse and worse and worse. POTS affects everyone differently. A lot of times anyone who has POTS does deal with the symptoms on a daily basis. Some days are good days and you can do regular things, and other days you are just stuck in bed all day and you don't feel good. Some of the major symptoms that I really struggle with is low energy, brain fog, tachycardia, feeling faint. My symptoms are a lot worse after walking up the stairs, after laying down for a long time and then standing up, bending down and standing up on a repetitive motion. That definitely gets me feeling really, really gross. The heat is always a big trigger for me. So yeah, people with POTS oftentimes have to try to avoid those triggers. So there's also a lot of different kinds of treatment that people do for POTS. If you are getting diagnosed with POTS, you'll probably want to make an appointment with a cardiologist. They are the ones who are going to do the testing and get you diagnosed. To get a diagnosis for POTS, what they normally do is what's called a tilt table test. I'll put a picture right here of what that tilt table test looks like. So they basically strap you to a table, you're laying flat, and the table comes up to an upright position. They have you hooked up to all these monitors, and they basically watch what your body does in that change of position. I did not ever do a tilt table test. They just did orthostatic vitals for me, so they had me lay down for 15 minutes, and then they had me stand up, and they were monitoring my vitals when I did that, and my heart rate increased more than 30 beats per minute, and my blood pressure dropped a little bit, and yeah, I was diagnosed, and that was that. It is hard to find a good treatment for POTS. There's really no cure for POTS, but there are medications that people go on to help with their symptoms. Some medications that people will do is they'll take salt tablets, sodium tablets, because it's suggested that if you have POTS, you have a high sodium diet, because sodium helps your body retain water. People with POTS have a hard time doing that, so that's what the salt is for. People go on beta blockers, which is a medication that helps to lower the heart rate. People go on what's called, there's Midodrine and there's Florinef, and those are medications that help you retain water better. I tried every single treatment, and what works best for me is I take Florinef, which helps me retain water, I eat a high sodium diet, and I drink liquid IV. Here's what the liquid IV looks like. It's a drink mixture. Passion fruit is my favorite flavor, but it's really good and it helps you stay hydrated. Another thing that some people do is they have saline therapy or IV therapy, and they get an IV and they get fluids directly into their veins, just saline fluids, and this really helps people who have low blood volume. I struggle with low blood volume. These saline fluids really do help me. It is really hard to get a doctor to prescribe consistent saline fluids because in the long run, if you're doing these infusions 2-3 times a week, you're going to be spending hours in an infusion center, and that's just not practical for somebody who has a life and a job, goes to school, has a family. So you end up having to get a central line. So there's ports. I'll put a picture here of what a port looks like. It's a device that goes in your chest. And then there's also PICC lines. So here's a picture of what a PICC line looks like, and it goes on your arm. And it's basically kind of an always accessed thing so that they don't have to give you IVs. You can do your infusions at home. You can put your infusion bag into a backpack and you can go on the go. However, those treatments do come with a very high infection risk for blood clots, and it's just not very convenient and safe unless it's really needed. So it's very hard to get doctors to prescribe that kind of treatment. One thing that a lot of people with POTS do end up struggling with are doctors telling them just to drink water, eat salt, and exercise. That's really frustrating because people with POTS already try to do that. I just went to a doctor's appointment the other day with a new cardiologist, and he told me to drink water, eat salt, and exercise. And I'm like, okay, have you seen me try to exercise? I can ride on my exercise bike for 10 minutes, but then I am laying on the ground with a heart rate over 200 beats per minute, and I don't feel good, and then I am not feeling great the rest of the whole day the next day. So yeah, just it's really annoying sometimes, but yeah. It is also not uncommon for somebody who has POTS to also have other autoimmune disorders or illnesses. There is a connection between POTS and anorexia. I have not done too much research on that, and it's not really known why a lot of people who struggle with anorexia end up having POTS as well, but I have anorexia, I struggled a lot, and I also have POTS. Also, thyroid conditions, celiac disease, EDS, those are all illnesses that can go along with POTS, mast cell disease. All of those things are common to see when someone has POTS. They may have all these other illnesses as well. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for you today on the topic of POTS. I'm planning on making a video later in the future kind of showing how my dog helps me with my POTS, because she does do tasks to assist me with my POTS, and they are very helpful at times. But I hope you found this video informative. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my content and you don't want to miss out on any future videos. So, bye!